What if I told you your own DNA could reveal your personal risk for one of the deadliest cancers for women? A groundbreaking new study is starting to make that a reality. So let's dive into how this genetic revolution is set to change the entire future of cancer prediction.
Let's start with just a number, 207,000. Now, on its own, it's just a huge abstract figure, but behind it is a truly devastating reality. That's how many women die from ovarian cancer around the globe every single year. You see, it's the most lethal gynecological cancer, and for a very long time, trying to predict who is most vulnerable, well, it's been an immense challenge. And that leads us to the core question, the one that really drives this kind of research. How can we possibly get ahead of this disease? How do we identify the women who need the most urgent attention long before any symptoms even appear? To even begin to answer that, scientists had to zoom in on one very specific and very deadly piece of this whole puzzle. The main target of this research is a specific form called high-grade serous ovarian cancer, or HGSOC for short. And look, if you want to make a real dent in this thing, you have to focus here, because it's not just the most common type, it's also the deadliest. So to predict it, you've got to understand its genetic roots. And to do that, they basically launched the largest genetic search party in the history of this disease. To really get what a leap forward this is, think of it like this. Previous studies were using an old roadmap. Helpful, but missing a ton of detail. This new study, involving nearly 400,000 women, we're talking about a high-resolution satellite map of our DNA. And this incredible tool let them see millions more genetic variations, especially the really rare ones that the older methods would have missed completely. So the technique they're using here is called a genome-wide association study, or GWAS. Really, it's like using a super powerful search engine. You compare the DNA of thousands of people with the disease to thousands without it. And the whole goal is to find those tiny, recurring genetic typos that just happen to show up more often in the group with cancer. All right, so after this absolutely massive genetic search, what did they actually find? Well, the discoveries were, frankly, remarkable. What you're looking at here is a Manhattan plot, and it's basically the treasure map from their findings. Every single dot is a genetic variant, and the higher the dot, the stronger it's linked to the disease. Those towering skyscrapers you see, that's exactly where the scientists struck genetic gold. And they didn't just strike gold in one place. They found 7 new genetic hotspots, or loci, which are just specific spots on a chromosome that are really strongly associated with the risk of developing HGSOC. Let me give you a couple of incredible examples. They found a variant near TP53, which is one of the most famous cancer-fighting genes we know of, and it increases risk by almost 1.5 times. But get this. A very rare variant near a different gene called CDCA2 was linked to a staggering 25-fold increase in risk. I mean, that's the kind of detail you could only find with that new satellite map approach. Okay, so finding these clues is amazing, right? But it's one thing to find a clue. The real goal here is to turn all of this information into a practical tool, something that can actually predict a person's risk. And that tool is called a polygenic score, or PGS. Now, the absolute best way to wrap your head around this is to think of it like a credit score, but for your genetic risk. Just like a credit score pulls together lots of little financial factors, a PGS combines the tiny effects of thousands of genetic variants into one single powerful risk assessment. So using their new discoveries and thousands of other known risk markers, the researchers built this new state-of-the-art polygenetic score. And get this, it incorporates a massive 64,518 different genetic variants. That is how they created the most accurate prediction model for this cancer to date. So this is the crucial part. What does a more powerful, more precise score actually mean for individuals? How does this change things for real people? Well, it's one thing to know you carry a high-risk gene like BRCA1, but that's never been the whole story. This polygenic score can stratify that risk, showing that even among women with the very same gene, some are at a much lower risk, while others are at a much, much higher risk. For the longest time, if you had a BRCA mutation, you were given the same broad, general estimate for your lifetime risk as anyone else with that gene. Well, that whole one-size-fits-all approach, it's about to change. Big time.
So, using this new polygenic score, let's take a BRCA1 carrier. If she's in the lowest risk group, meaning her background genetics are actually kind of protective, her lifetime risk is about 26%. But now, take another woman with the exact same BRCA1 mutation, but her polygenic score puts her in the highest risk group. Her lifetime risk, it jumps all the way up to 65%. Just think about that for a second. The exact same primary gene mutation, but their actual personal risk is more than doubled. That is the power of moving beyond just one gene to this bigger, holistic, polygenic view. And the implications of this, they're just enormous. A woman looking at a 26% risk might make totally different choices about something like preventative surgery compared to a woman staring down a 65% risk. This tool allows for truly personalized prevention strategies, helping doctors and patients make way more informed decisions, and potentially saving lives through a much better, much earlier risk assessment. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The researchers themselves say this isn't just some academic exercise. Their ultimate goal is to get this knowledge directly into the clinic, to help manage risk and guide patient care in a much more precise way. Look, this study is a massive step forward. Our ability to read the human genome is taking us from these broad, generic risk categories to deeply, deeply personal forecasts. And it leaves us with one final thought. As we keep unlocking the secrets of our own DNA, how will we redefine what it truly means to be at risk?